Hey everybody, this is Preston with Godsey Ag. We're going to do a part 2 for our agronomy alert this week, and this part 2 is going to be assessing hail damage on early season corn, so corn about that V8, V9 and younger. This particular cornfield was hailed fairly significantly at about V5 to V7 growth stage, and so we want to look at a couple things there to assess our overall damage, and then if that corn crop is worth keeping or what we can do with that corn crop from this stage on. First thing we want to look at is the growing point of the corn. So this younger corn, V6, V7-ish, that growing point is going to be at ground level or maybe just barely above. So to assess that, no different than what we did a couple weeks ago to figure out our corn growth stage, is we want to split that plant in half and we want to look at the growing point. So we can see here the growing point of this plant is actually probably about 2 inches above the ground now, and this is probably put on about 2 leaves since the hail event. But we see here the growing point, it's good, healthy green color. We're really not too bad off with this particular plant. You can see our new leaves are looking pretty good, and we're starting to get a little life back in this plant. The second thing we want to assess with hail damage is leaf area loss. So leaf area loss at these growth stages, V7, V8 and younger, we can have 100% defoliation, and as far as theoretical yield loss, we don't really have a lot of loss there, just based on pure foliage loss. So when we look at this plant where it grew back out of it, the new growth looks good. Our whorl is healthy, our growing point is healthy. Probably not a lot of yield loss on this. It is going to ding it some, no doubt. Just something to watch on those plants. However, stand count is one of the things that are going to be a big driver to yield loss with a hail event at this growth stage. What we see commonly is issues like this plant right here. After the hail loss, you see we'll have this buggy whipping effect where the whorl gets caught up and it just grows into the whorl. Looks very similar to rapid growth syndrome. A lot of issues we have with hailed corn this early is we may have just applied herbicide, may have just put dicamba or growth regulator out there. So this is kind of a compound effect of the herbicide that we applied to control our weeds, timing of the hail event, things like that. So at this point, this is going to be a lost plant. So when we're assessing stand loss, take plants like this into account, and also take plants like this into account. This is going to make a corn plant. This one, however, it will not. So take your tape measure, do your 17.5 feet, count how many viable plants you have. If they look like this, we'll say that a lost stand. If they look like this, we're going to say that's going to be a good stand, that plant anyways. So take that assessment in several different spots. Wait at least 7 days after the hail event before you do that. Things are kind of emotional right after that event, and we might look at that and say that corn crop's not going to grow out of it and you'll want to do something else. But look at that corn crop about 7 days after, assess your stand count. We kind of know the defoliation loss there, and at that growth stage what yield loss would be at that point. But those are the things that we're looking at here after we're about 7-8 days after the hailstorm here. So we got an idea of what our stand and our actual yield loss is going to be like. So you got any questions with that, just reach out to any of us at Godsey Ag.